Alright, so for today's lesson, you're going to learn how to construct a perpendicular bisegment. So go ahead and fill in some blanks to discuss exactly what a perpendicular bisegment is. Now, a perpendicular bisector of a segment passes through the midpoint of the segment and forms blank with the segment. Now, if we're talking about a perpendicular bisector and it's passing through the midpoint, what does perpendicular mean, Abdel? It forms a 90-degree angle. So when that perpendicular bisector hits the midpoint of the line segment, it forms right angles, which are 90 degrees. Okay? So today you're going to be drawing the perpendicular bisector of a segment. Okay? So you'll notice on your first example, you have a segment. That segment name is AB. Now we're going to draw the perpendicular bisector of that segment, and it's going to go through that segment at the midpoint and form a 90-degree angle with that segment. Alright? So let's go ahead and figure out what the steps are to constructing a perpendicular bisector. Alright, so I've given you some time to try to figure out the correct order of steps, so let's go ahead and review what the correct order is. Now, can someone tell me, what did they get for number 1? What was step number 1? What do we got?
Label the endpoints of the segment A and B.
Correct. Label the endpoints of the segment A and B. Now, as I'm writing this down, if we look at the picture, did we have to do that step?
No.
Nope, it was already done for us. So label the endpoints of the segment A and B. Okay, that was step 1. It was already done for us, so we're going to move on to step 2. What did someone get for step 2? What was step 2 of this construction? And I'll go ahead and ask Jemiah. What did y'all get at step 2? You put that on sec. Okay, so what did you put first though? Alright, so yeah, let's definitely go ahead and do that. So draw circle A, and in order to do that, it's going to have the center A with the radius of AB, and circle B, and it's going to have the center B with the radius BA. Now, looking at that, two groups changed the positions of steps 1 and 2, and they still got the correct final answer. So the importance of step 1 and 2, like the fact that if you do one before the other, doesn't really matter. You can do 2 before 1, or you can do 1 before 2. Again, two groups did it different ways, and they got the exact same answer. So if you did that as well, it is okay. Okay? Now that was step number 2. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, step number 2 was draw a circle A. So if it's circle A, that means the center is A. And so I'm going to go ahead and draw circle A, and it has to have the radius of AB. So the radius of circle A is the entire length of segment AB. So I'm measuring segment AB, and I'm going to draw my circle. Now notice when I'm using my compass, I'm kind of trying to put the pencil straight up and down so that I'm not moving the position of the compass setting. And there is circle A. The center is A. Okay? Now, the second part of step 2 was to draw circle B with the center of B. And it has to have the radius of BA. The radius is BA. So I'm going to turn my compass the other way because this time my center is B. And since my center is B, it has to go inside of the bullseye. Okay? and I'm going to draw a circle B with the radius of BA. Okay? And there we go. Kind of looks like a Venn diagram. Alright, number 3. What did y'all get as step 3, Christina? What do I have to do next? Draw CD. And before I draw CD though, what do I have to do with CD? Where's CD at right now?
Oh, you have to put the little point.
Yeah, I have to put a little point. So I have to label the points of intersection, right? So I gotta label the points before I can draw CD. So I'm gonna do label the points of the intersections as C and D. Okay? So here's one intersection right here. I'm just going to label that one C. And here's the other intersection over here, and I'm going to label that one D. Now we can get to step 4, which was draw a line CD. Make sure that when you drew CD that it was a line, and in order to show that it was a line, you have to draw the arrows. Okay? Arrow, arrow, and we have completed this construction. So 4 easy steps to drawing the perpendicular bisector of a line segment. Now, since these are our notes, let's go ahead and I want us to go back to the sentence on top and make sure we completely understand every single part of this picture. Alright? So, the sentence says, a perpendicular bisector of a segment passes through the midpoint of the segment and forms right angles with the segment. Now, looking at this picture, I want to identify the perpendicular bisector. What is the perpendicular bisector, Miriam? What's the perpendicular bisector of this picture?
Line CD.
Line CD, you are correct. So, let's label a couple of things. The perpendicular bisector in this picture is a line, and it is specifically line CD. Okay, so that is the perpendicular bisector of the picture. Now, next thing is going back to the top up here. It says the midpoint. The midpoint is where? What does the midpoint do to a picture? Alejandro, what does the midpoint do to a picture or to a line segment? What's the definition of a midpoint?
Midpoint is
the center of the line, yeah. And so since it's the center of the line, what does it break up line segment AB into? How many parts? Halves, 2 congruent parts. Yes, you are correct. So the midpoint is the center of the line segment. Okay? Now, again, the midpoint divides the line segment into 2 congruent halves. Okay? Now again, since CD is the perpendicular bisector, and my sentence says up here that the perpendicular bisector passes through the midpoint of the segment, and AB is my segment, this right here must be the midpoint. Okay? So that is the midpoint. Now, when line CD hits line segment AB, what kind of angle does it create? A right angle. And so in order to show that this is a right angle, we need to draw a box here. Now we can draw the box on any side. I just decided to draw it here. Okay? So that is how you construct a perpendicular bisector.